Hello, everyone, and welcome to All Together Now. I'm your host, Bobbie Steinbach, coming to you from just outside Boston, Massachusetts. You know, for thousands of years, people have come together. They've gathered in marketplaces and village squares, at theaters, in houses of worship, at bonfires, beaches, stadiums, for weddings, funerals, birthday parties, sports events, parades, and the list goes on. But of course, now we are not together in these trying times. So we have created All Together Now as a virtual gathering place where we can come together and connect and share the joy that music, storytelling, dance, theater, and poetry give us. We are bringing artists from all over the globe to perform for you and connect with you. Tonight, we are delighted to have the brilliant Indian storyteller, Preeti Vasudevan, elegant Broadway performer, Kristen Hubbard, and her twin brother, Matt Hubbard, Grammy-nominated multi-instrumentalist, and he's a producer as well. Preeti is the founder and artistic director of Thresh Performing Arts Collaborative. Her background is in Indian classical dance, and her work is at the intersection of traditional and contemporary theater. Welcome, Preeti.
Thank you so much, Bobbie. So nice to be here.
Lovely to have you. Where are you joining us from right now?
I'm actually joining you from New York City.
My goodness. Safe and sound, I hope. Yeah.
Well, within the four walls.
Within the four walls, yeah. And what talk about what you're going to do for us tonight, would you?
Of course, yeah. I actually, as you beautifully said, I specialize in Indian classical dance theater, and we work on storytelling. So I'm going to share with you some of the things we do in class, how we learn to tell stories. The first thing is, how do you move different parts of your face and neck? So, and then I'm going to go on using all of that and my hands and gestures to tell you a short story. Should I start?
Please.
Okay. So you're going to hear some syllables. They don't mean anything. There's just scatting like in jazz. And just watch my eyes to begin with, and then start looking at my entire face to see what other parts move. And here I go. They. That's just the micro isolations, my eyebrows, my neck, my eyes going in different directions so that they all warm up and then they're ready to tell you a story. And I was thinking about, all of us in this social distancing moment, and I'm a mother and I have a child who's 9. And, parents are stuck with their kids. As much as we love them, there's a lot going on with the kids. But children are closest to life. They don't have the responsibilities. They have the wisdom of life. So which made me think of a story that I grew up listening to in India and learning to perform it. It's about our favorite Hindu god called Krishna, who plays the flute. And then he wears a little peacock feather in his hair. And he loves to dress up and he loves to eat butter. And he just delights the hearts of all the men and women everywhere. So one day, when Krishna was very young, he wandered with his tiny little feet out into the garden and out into the little mud patch. And then when nobody was watching him, he took a little bit of that mud and he put it in his mouth. He went, oh, that is very tasty. And he took a little more of that mud and he put it in his mouth. And so he kept feeding himself more and more mud from the garden. Now, his mother, this is the symbol for the mother, she was looking for her little Krishna. And she says, where did he go? I just left the little baby somewhere. He couldn't have crawled out. Oh, there he is. And what is he doing? He is eating mud. Oh my God, that naughty little boy. And so she quickly ran to him and grabbed him by the ear and said, "What are you doing? Open your mouth and show me what you're doing." And he went to say, "There's nothing in my mouth." She said, "No, open it, I tell you." And he says, that puppy dog face we're very used to. And he tried to convince her that there was nothing in the mouth. And she said, "If you don't, I'm going to twist your ear really badly." And he went, and he pretended he was in real pain. However, on the other hand, he knew what he was doing. So as he opened his mouth to her, and as she looked inside the mouth to see how much mud there was, guess what she saw? She saw the world, the universe, the various planets revolving, the solar system, the Milky Way. And she couldn't believe it. What? Inside the tiny little mouth of a child, there lives a universe? I must be dreaming. And she saw again, and she couldn't take it. And she was so confused that she fainted. When she woke up, little baby Krishna was on top of her trying to wake her up. And she opened her eyes and she looked at the child going, "Who are you? What are you teaching me? Are you my teacher? Am I your mother?" So this story has been passed on to us through, and many generations know the story. It's very dear to my heart because it shows that we carry the universe within us as we live in the universe around us. And we should never forget that combination and that connection for us, that the nature is within us and the nature is outside us, and we are one with nature. And if we live that way, we will live in harmony. And we can only understand that through the eyes of a child.
Thank you so much, Preeti. That was magical. Now, tell us a little bit about Thresh. I know you have a new project you're working on called the Red Curtain Project. Sounds mysterious.
Yes, during this period, my company Thresh creates contemporary pieces based on identity and how we balance our lives between heritage cultures and contemporary lives. And I work with a huge range of artists, wonderful collaborators. The Red Curtain Project we launched actually just a week ago because of the situation we are in. And it's a project where we're bringing to life storytelling from the Indian subcontinent in a way like I'm disseminating it to you, except that I have maybe someone like Matt who creates the music for it, and then there's a visual artist who illustrates for us. And then we bring stories from around the world that align with the theme of our story. So we want to do 12 stories, releasing a new story each week. And we want to share it with the world. It's free. And we hope that we have a challenge in it, by the way, where you are asked to send us back a story that you can do or you can write. And then we will put it up in a library to try and share how many people around the world have shared stories inspired by one culture.
Oh, that's lovely. That's absolutely lovely. And you folks who are watching out there can find out more information at the end of the show in the comments. And you can ask questions too. We have a live stream. Preeti, I want to thank you very much. I wish I knew how to do those kinds of things, but thank you so very much. And we hope to see you again really soon. Thank you. So who's up next? We have the fabulous Kristen Hubbard. And Kristen has appeared on Broadway in the little-known musical, The Phantom of the Opera, and the Pirate Queen. She now lives in Seattle, where her theatrical home happens to be the Seattle Public Theater. Welcome, Kristen Hubbard.
Thank you. Wonderful to be here. Hi, Bobbie.
Hi there. So, where are you right now? I think you're in some magical place in Michigan.
Well, I'm in Michigan. I'm up near actually the Sleeping Bear Dunes National Lakeshore, where we have a family cottage. I've been on the road actually for most of this school year with my husband and kids in a motorhome, and we figured we'd better find a place to settle down for the next few months because things are a little uncertain in the world. So we thought this was a safe place because we're technically homeless in Seattle because we have friends staying in our house. So we're in Michigan for the time being, but
walking around in the woods, that's so nice. That's
lots of woods. Yes.
Not the woods. Yes. So Kristen, what are you going to sing for us tonight?
I have a song that's a setting of a James Baldwin poem called Some Days, and the music was written by a fantastic Broadway music director and pianist named Steve Marzullo, who is friends with my husband. So he kindly gave me permission to sing this song. I'm just singing it a cappella, so you don't get to hear the wonderful piano part, but it's called Some Days by Steve Marzullo. It's a setting of a poem by James Baldwin.
Well, you're in for a treat, folks. Here she is, Kristen Hubbard singing.
Here we go. Some days worry, some days glad, some days more than make you mad. Some days more than shine. When you see what's coming on down the line. Some days you say, oh, not me, never. Some days you say, bless God forever. Some days you say, curse God and die. And the day comes when you wrestle with that lie. Some days tussle and some days groan. Some days don't even leave a bone. Some days you hassle all alone. Don't know, sister, what I'm saying, nor do no man if he don't be praying. I know that love is the only answer, and the tightrope lover the only dancer. When the lover comes off the rope today, the net which holds him is how we pray, and not to gods unknown, but to each other. The falling mortal is our brother. Some days leave, some days grieve, some days you almost don't believe. Some days believe you, some days don't. Some days believe you, and you won't. Some days worry, some days mad, some days more than make you glad. Some days more than shine. Witnesses coming on down the line. Witnesses coming on down the
line. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much, Kristen. So let me just ask you this question about, you are an administrator at Seattle Public Theater, and as we all know, it's difficult enough in normal times for smaller theaters to keep going, and of course now it's kind of a catastrophe. How are things going for you, and what are you doing to shelter from the storm, as it were?
Well, it's tricky. We're an industry that's entirely based on people getting together in person to experience art live, and so it was I was in Seattle when Governor Inslee closed everything down, which was just before everything started to shut down across the country. So Seattle was very much the beginning of what are we doing? What's going to happen? How are we going to keep these companies alive? I think the large companies and the small companies are all having similar problems, as are all small businesses and everybody in the service industry. So there's huge unknown impacts. We are, trying to keep our staff engaged and, applying for the payroll protection loans, just like all the small companies. But it's going to be very interesting to see who can weather the storm and come out of it. I think gathering live in person for theater is a fundamental need for humanity, and hopefully we will be able to find ways to make it continue. So
yes, we will do that.